Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show, the match reaction from Manchester United 3, Newcastle United 1 tonight at Old Trafford. And I'm pissed off. I'm really pissed off. You know, we played so well in that first half, and then it just all went to shit. I don't know what's actually being said in that dressing room at half-time, but whatever it was, completely demotivated the players, and we just went to pieces from the word go. You know, the first half was so good. We played so well, you know, and didn't deserve to go behind. You know, we deserved to be in that game. It was a shit first goal to concede. You know, again, you're talking about Emil Kraft, you know, just got ripped a new one by Rashford, which we knew which would happen at certain points of the game, and it happened tonight. And then we go and, you know, Rashford shoots in the near post, and Darlow, he shouldn't have been beaten there. He shouldn't have been beaten at his near post, but he was. But hey-ho, we have to live with that, okay? So we're 1-0 down, but my God, we come back really well. Maxi gets us level again with a lovely finish. And, you know, at halftime, I was thinking, wow, we are really in this game here. Man United are not a good side. We have a real opportunity here to get something from this game, you know, and really put a positive spin on the relegation battle. But no, typical Newcastle, we go to shit. And there's some players on that pitch who really shouldn't be there. You know, our fullbacks really need to take a hard look at themselves after tonight. Emil Kraft just isn't worth even talking about. Jamal Lewis on the other side, the kid can't tackle. Now, I'm not watching the same Jamal Lewis that I was watching last season for Norwich. He is a totally different player. He's offering us nothing. Now, is that because he's not being coached properly and he's not being nurtured in the correct way? I don't know. But it's certainly not the same guy. And it really pisses me off because we should have got something out of that game tonight without a shadow of a doubt, and we didn't. And we end up losing and losing quite badly in the end. Just incredible. So keep your comments coming in because I'd love to know what you guys think. And, you know, we've had loads of comments in already. So I'll go through them as quick as I can. I'll read as many as I can out as well. Andrew said the ball's in Fulham's court now, but we need to draw. We need Martin Dubravka back in goal. Dahl was doing okay. So Man United got their second goal and we've dropped off. Yes, I mean, the problem I've got is I see the players' heads going down too much. You know, when we conceded that second goal, the heads went again and we lost the plot. We completely lost the plot out of the game. And to be honest, it shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't happen. You know, if we had any leaders on that pitch, they would have, you know, come together and thought, right, come on, lads, we're playing well here. We don't deserve to be behind. Let's get into them. But no, we didn't. We just let them. It was back to Bruce Ball in the second half where we just sat back, let them have the ball, let them have the freedom of Old Trafford and do what they want. So really not good enough. Bruce needs sacking. We know that. And he needs to go. If anything, for his freaking substitutions tonight, by the way, let's talk about them. Because, you know, I don't care what people say. There's still 10, 15 minutes left of a football match. And you take off our two best forwards. Our two best forwards. He takes off. Somebody explain to me the logic in that. Because that is just a completely defeatist attitude. And you know, when I was doing the watch along with John, a guy was commenting saying, you know, we need to conserve these players. No, we don't. Conserving players is well out the window for us now because we are thick in a relegation battle. How can you bother conserving players? We need our best players on the pitch at all times. We know Man United is susceptible to conceding goals. So we're 3-1 down, but there is still a chance that we could pull it back and maybe even scrape a point. Everton did it earlier in the season. But no, Steve Bruce has such a defeatist attitude. He's just said, right, the game's gone. What's the point? And that's going to sink down to the players' level. And they'll think, well, Christ almighty, if the manager thinks that, then why should we even bother? Utterly pathetic substitutions. Save the Sharks could have been worse, let's be honest. It could have been a lot worse because that score could have been a lot worse in the second half. The way we've been playing, the scoreline could have been a lot worse, but it wasn't. We managed to hold on. But my God almighty, come on. Taylor says, Bruce out and Howe in. I'd love to see a change now. I think we have to make a change. You know, there's no ifs or buts about it now. In my opinion, we have to make a change. Because, you know, whatever Steve Bruce said in that dressing room at half-time has just totally knocked the stuffing out the players. Because we looked the better team in the first half. There is no doubt anybody cannot argue that we were the best team in that first half. But after that, whatever is said at halftime has just completely ruined our chances of getting anything out of that game. Paul says, what a load of bollocks that second half was. Couldn't agree with you more, Paul. It was absolutely atrocious. We didn't deserve anything out of that second half at all. I really thought it was embarrassing at some of the football, but we just let them have the ball. Jason, good evening. Half-time, well, good job, lads. Now let's sit back and invite them onto us in the second, and I'll bring our best players off and do a masterful tactic. There you go. Perfectly said, Jason. Whatever was said has completely capitulated our side. No doubt about it. Whatever's been said, something has gone on that has just knocked the stuffing out of them. I mean, how can you play so well in the first half and then come out with an attitude like we did in the second? It doesn't make any sense. Somehow saw Bruce's mouth shut. Just get him out the club. Just get him out the club. Get him gone. Just enough is enough. We've had enough of this absolute buffoon. Dylan says, what was the point in giving Matt Longstaff a new contract if you're going to use Shelvey, Hendrick and Sean Longstaff before we even consider him? Not even on the bench tonight, Dylan. Not even on the bench. Now, I'll never get it. What is going on with the Longstaffs? Both of them, to be quite fair. You all know my opinion on Sean. I think he should have gone out on loan in the January window and regained his form, maybe the championship side where he's getting regular first-team football. But no, he doesn't even put Matty on the bench tonight, so what chance do we stand? For me, the game passes Shelvey by now. He wasn't too bad, I suppose, tonight, but at the same instant, come on. Man United were there to be taken apart tonight. Can you imagine what a decent side would have done to them? They did not play well tonight at all. Chippers, good evening, mate. That should be Steve Bruce signing his P45 on that second half. We know that, but it probably won't happen. We know that Steve Bruce needs to be gone. He needs to be out of the club, but it probably won't happen. And that's just the way Mike Ashley is thinking at the moment. And he's playing massively Russian roulette at the moment. Taylor says, it's never open, mate. That's a good point. Paul says Bruce will stand around. If any other manager performed like him, they would have been out weeks ago. Yeah, I said that during the game. Steve Bruce stand there with his hands in his pockets, and what good does that do anybody? You see other managers dictating play, pointing where the play should be, giving them a bit of motivation. Look at Scott Parker at Fulham. He knows his players. He knows that that he needs to motivate them from the touchline, and that's exactly what he does. That blobfish of a man does naught for this club. Nothing. Jason says, you pitchforks and torches at the ready. Yeah, it's going to come to that, really, isn't it? And that's... Lewis says, good performance. I mean, come on. Yes, very good performance first half. I thought we were excellent in the first half, and nobody can say otherwise. We deserved to be either in front or level at half-time because we played well. But the second half, we've let ourselves down again, gone to shit, and we've lost the game. In a game that we could have got something out of, whether it be Man United or not. That is a game that we should have got something out of tonight because of the first half performance. We proved that we can get at them. And Man United did nothing better than they did in the first half. We just sat back and let them have the ball. And that's the difference. Dylan says, well, time to dust ourselves down and move on to the next. Yeah, he's running out of them games, though. That's the problem. Paul says, I can get my hands on a couple of tanks. Dylan, do you think we're going to beat Wolves? I say no chance. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think if we come out with the attitude of the first half, we've got a good chance of winning the game. But why do Newcastle United go to shit in every game they play? That's what I want to know. What is being said in the dressing room? The question has got to be asked to Steve Bruce. What did you say to those players at half-time? Because it was a different Newcastle United that came out in that second half. So what was different? What was said? Come out and tell us. Kobe says, ASM and Nauma on off for Gale and Murphy, ludicrous, and then smiling after the game. Well, we know what he's like. He doesn't give a damn about Newcastle United, this man, and we know he doesn't. Seb says, I think we played well in the first half. Poor defending let us down. Yeah, excellent first half. Excuse me, you can't argue with that. We were brilliant first half and deserved to be in front at half-time. But unfortunately, we've let ourselves down again in the second half and gone to shit. Good evening, Geordie, mate. Like I say, I'm rattling through most of the comments. I'm reading as many as I can out, but we do have a lot. And obviously, a lot of people want to have the say on tonight's performance. Lewis said, played well in the first half and started well in the second. We did start well in the second for the first couple of minutes. But then you just saw the writing on the wall. Man United started to have a lot more of the ball. And we were starting to just look very lackluster. Considering they were in Spain on Thursday night in a Europa League game, we just let them play through a second half when we should have been the team on top in the second half, passing it around and wearing them down. They would have been tired off that match. But no, Steve Bruce isn't bright enough to see that. And that's where we let ourselves down. Silly mistakes again. Yes, exactly. Silly mistakes let us down. And both the silly mistakes have... the second goal... Why is Jamal Lewis near the penalty spot? Why? When we've got two centre-backs there and he leaves Daniel James standing in acres of space to finish that second goal off. It's diabolical defending. There's just no ifs or buts about it. You cannot defend like that and get away with it. Calvin says Fulham is chasing us fast. Yeah, very, very quick. Paul says Steve Bruce laughing after the game with Ollie, but that just says it all, doesn't it? That just says what a man that Steve Bruce is. You know, he's just a pathetic excuse of a manager. Ryan says it will be the same story next week with Kraft. Only difference is that with Pedro Neto. I fear for me, Lewis has got to come. Sorry, not Lewis. Murphy's got to come in at right back next week. I know he's not a proper right back, but he'll give us so much more than what Kraft does. The guy is just beaten so easily. And Pedro Neto, my God, he just won't be able to wait till he gets against him. Michael, good evening. Yet another Bruce masterclass of having spells in the game, then disappearing. The fact he was smiling at the end speaks volumes to his attitude. Shelby needs going out of that team. Couldn't agree with you more. And the fact that he was smiling and laughing and everything like that just says what a man Steve Bruce is and how much he cares about Newcastle United. Because smiling at the end when he's just seen a second half like that, and again, I'm not hearing his after-match comments because obviously I'm doing this, and quite frankly, I couldn't give a toss what the man says tonight. If he'll come out with all the usual shit about how positives to be taken from the match and we played really well, but what won't be asked of Steve Bruce is why we fell apart in the second half, what was said in that dressing room at half-time. Jason says, yeah, I think we all clocked onto Bruce laughing at the end and the pics are already all over Twitter. Well, it serves him right, doesn't it? But he does nothing. The man does nothing to redeem himself to the fans. It's just every week something happens that he pisses the fans off with. Every single week. Dylan says, I think we got worse when Joe Linton came off. Funny enough, that was actually the turning point where Man United turned the game when Joe Linton came off. I don't think it actually had anything to do with Joe Linton coming off, but I think that's just a coincidence. At least I hope it was. Lewis says, people calling for Bruce out. Who do you want in? We're playing well. Keep at it and go again. Lewis, it's very hard to do that because the players will be totally demotivated after tonight. And the simple reason for that is they played so well in the first half, and we've got nothing out of the game. You see what I mean? We've got nothing out of the game. That will do the players no confidence at all because they've played to the best of their ability in that first half and we end up losing the game 3-1. And we end up being pathetic in the second half. So, you know, we've got to go again, yes, because we're in a relegation battle. But making stupid substitutions like that, pulling our two best players substituted off, we've got nothing to get back in the game with. Absolutely no creativity was left on that pitch. Most people, including me, saw Bruce smiling at the end. Yeah, exactly. Mark, good evening. Leeds fan here. I thought you played great first half, but why did he keep Linton on when he was injured? I'll tell you why, Mark, because his name is Steve Bruce, and he's done this with a few players this season who have been clearly injured and can't carry on. Yet the players seem to overrule Steve Bruce, and they say, I'm fit to continue, boss. I'll play on. And it doesn't work like that. And managers would say, no, you're not. You won't be able to offer anything to the team, so go out there again. No, I'm making a substitution. But he doesn't do that. Steve Bruce does not do that. And that's because he's an absolutely terrible manager. Leslie said, Fulham to escape and Newcastle for relegation. There you go. Everybody's seeing it now, aren't they? Everybody's seeing it. Taylor says, just before I turned the match off, I saw Bruce clapping at the players. Well, he probably clapped because Man United won the ball back, to be honest. So there you go. Lewis says, why does losing to Man United all of a sudden mean Bruce needs to go? He should have went months ago, but stick with it for the next 4 games. We haven't got time to stick with it. This is the problem. And this is what I'm trying to get across to people. Time is running out. People saying, oh, there's 13, 14 games left. You know, people saying there's winnable games ahead. We play Brighton. We lost to them. We play Sheffield United. We lost to them. You know, we've still got these teams to play, but they've beaten us this season. We have no right at the minute to say we have winnable games. We have no right at all to say that, because the way we look at it at the minute, we don't have a chance of winning anything at the minute. The players are going to be rock bottom after tonight, after playing so well in the first half. Ollie B, didn't see the game, but getting a quality debrief from yourself. Bruce has to go. Said it for months now. Cannot believe, well, I can, that he brought the best players off. His substitutions have stunk the whole of Old Trafford out. He did the same against Chelsea. His substitutions were abysmal against Chelsea. And the same has happened here tonight. He's got no excuse for making the changes that he did, apart from to just say, the game's gone. The game is out the window. It's gone. You know, let's move on to the next one. And time is running out. Lewis says, once Joe Linton went off, we played worse. Joe's a good player when you play to his strengths. That's your opinion, Lewis. Unfortunately, people know my opinion on Joe Linton, and I just don't think he's good enough. He's not a Premiership footballer. That's just a certainty. Awful Jamal Lewis defending again. Kenneth says, Bruce is dying to be sacked, but he has no self-respect. He is a wealthy man, and he won't walk. He is a disgrace. Well, he is a wealthy man because of all the clubs that have sacked him in the past. So obviously he's being paid thousands of pounds worth, if not millions, in compensation. So, you know, it's not like he needs the money. He's just... This man believes he can turn Newcastle around and save them this season, and I think quite the opposite. Wolves next. Yeah, who's... Ethan, Joe Linton played well. Once he went off, it went downhill. Keep Bruce for the West Brom and Wolves game. Failed to get 3 to 4 points, and he needs to go. Should have went months ago. You're right, Ethan. I know we've had a bit of a conversation on John's channel earlier tonight. You know, people are going to look at it differently. I just think we don't want to make the same mistake that we did with McLaren and leave it too late for a new guy to come in and save us, because at the moment, that's the way the land is lying. He keeps saying he's backing Bruce, and it comes to a point where time is running out, you know, and he leaves it too late, and he's lost everything. He's lost the money off the takeover. Everything just dissipates for him, which is why I think he's playing Russian roulette, and it's just not good enough. Jason says, well, his hands went in his pockets this time. Every time the camera was on him, he was drinking water, or was it gin, and he was getting hammered. Probably gin, Jason, if we're honest. Chipper says, I'm sick of people saying good performance. We need points, not good performances. Exactly. You know, and that's the thing. You always hear the pundits saying that this time of the season, when the relegation battle is really kicking into action, points are better than performances. So, yeah, we played really well in the first half. What have we got to show for it? Absolutely sweet bugger all again, because of an inept manager who has just turned our team upside down at half-time. I don't know how he's managed to do that. Valerie, first half good, second half not so good. Yep. Jacob, Bruce laughing and smiling with Ollie at full time, buzzing with the 3 points for Man United. Of course he is. We know he is. Need 3 to 4 points from our next 2, otherwise Bruce needs to go. He needs to go now. Trills, good evening, mate. Bruce is so stupid, I look like a genius. I think we all look like geniuses compared to Steve Bruce, because we can see what's going on the pitch, yet this man cannot, and he doesn't have the ability. He takes our best players off when we're trying to get back in the game. It makes no sense at all. You cannot conserve players now at this time of the season. We need our best players on the pitch. We need them on the pitch all the time, and we need to try and get something out of every single game we play in. But this man has such a defeatist attitude, it's not going to help Newcastle United. Poor defending second half. Poor defending in the first for the first goal. Jules says, hey, Paul, keep safe. Thanks, man. Paul, good evening, mate. Fed up with this now. He needs to go. We played well against a bad Man United team tonight and still got beat 3-1. And that's the thing. You know, Man United were not a good side tonight. They played poorly. They're not the Man United of old. I don't think they're a very good side this season, and I think they're very lucky to be where they are, quite frankly. However, on the flip side of that, they did not play well tonight, and we had an opportunity to get something from the game, and we couldn't do it. We just couldn't do it. We fell apart. And that's got to worry people. Gordon, good evening, mate. He sacked the cabbage. FFSF, rather come back. He won't come back while Ashley's there, I can guarantee it. Dubravka in ASAP. I've said that for the last 4 weeks now, but he seems to be sticking with Darlow. I don't think Darlow played particularly badly tonight. I think the first goal he should have saved. As a goalkeeper, you shouldn't get beat at your near post like that, especially when, especially when you're covering that post. He shouldn't have been beaten there. But he did make some decent saves, and he did seem more assured coming for crosses, and he actually held on to them tonight, which was a big difference. But I do think Dubravka needs to come back in without a shadow of a doubt. Jake, good evening. It's arguably worse when you're playing okay, but still losing and getting so close to the relegation zone. Those players will start to feel it's no use trying so hard. That's what I'm trying to say, Jake. These players that went out, that performed really well in the first half, but fell asleep in the second. And then they'll be sitting there in the dressing room thinking, how did we get nothing out of that game? Man United didn't play very well at all. They weren't on the game tonight, and they haven't been at home most of the season. So it was an opportunity for us to go there tonight and get something, and we haven't. And that's not going to do the players' confidence any good. And we always know that Newcastle don't play well against the teams down at the bottom. We just don't. And that's not just this season. That's for years gone by. We always raise our game a bit against the better top teams, but against the bottom teams, we fall apart. And that's why we're in the situation we're in now. For once, Joe didn't do terribly. He had a good shot. He did. I mean, let's be honest. Let's not give Joe Linton a lot of hammer tonight. I mean, he did what he's not good enough. Simple as that, right? He's not good enough. But he didn't do too badly tonight. He wasn't the worst on the pitch. That's a certainty. There was other players there who, were well below what Joe Linton was tonight. Paul says, get Eddie Howe in. Yep, we need somebody who's going to motivate the dressing room now. We need somebody to come in and just give the players a kick up the arse, give them the boost they need, and get something going for these last few games of the season. Craig says you got Wolves next. Yeah, we all know that. And that's, Wolves they've been a bit dodgy this season, but they've started to turn it around. And that's what I'm worried about, is the fact that they're starting to turn the form around a little bit, just in time to play Newcastle. Ken says, good evening, Ken. How the hell does that effing idiot pick Joe Linton when he wished he could play ASM and Fraser from the start? What a cockwomble. Couldn't have said it better myself, Ken. Totally right. Totally right. I don't understand how the hell he moans on about not being able to play them. He's had an opportunity for weeks now to do it, and he's never done it, which is pathetic management. Guys, if you're enjoying the show, do hit the like button, or if you're watching the rerun, do hit the like button. And also, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. The link is down in the bottom corner somewhere, or just click on the channel and subscribe from there. Thank you very much. Taylor says, if Darlow starts next week, Dubravka will want to leave. He needs to be back in ASAP. Remember the unreal saves Dubravka made against Wolves and every other team last season. Yeah. This is my worry, that obviously Steve Bruce has already said that Dubravka is unhappy. We know he's unhappy. And we know he's got to come back into the side. But there's one man stopping that happening, and that's our manager, who simply isn't good enough. Michael, good evening. Don't get some fans who feel like we should be happy with performances. We have played well at times, but it is 11 losses in 15 games now. How can that be defended when most performances were poor? Couldn't have said it better myself, Michael, to be honest. And that's what I'm trying to explain here. Performances at this stage of the season now need to go well out the window. We need points, and we need them fast. Because once you get sucked into the relegation battle, and certainly once you fall into the bottom three, it's a very, very difficult place to get out of. And that's the worry that I've got, is because if we get sucked into that bottom three, if Fulham pass us, we are going to struggle to get out of that bottom three, because the pressure is going to be massively on the players. And I don't think some of them players in our team can handle the pressure. I just don't. Kobe says if we get relegated, we will stay there. Ashley needs to get his finger out and tell Bruce to get lost. Yeah. That's what I mean by he's playing Russian roulette. He's risking everything, Mike Ashley, just to save a million quid on sacking Steve Bruce. Kendo says, Bruce taking off our best players and only attacking threats. ESM Miggy was unforgivable. Exactly. Unforgivable. We're trying to get back in the game here. What does that say to the players? What does that say to the club? What does it say to the fans when he's taking our best players off when we need to get back in the game and we're in a relegation battle? No excuse. Callum, horrible performance, Bruce out. Yeah, second half, certainly. Leicester Till I Die TV, would you like Perez back, please? Do you know what? Yes. I know he's not playing very well for you guys, but for us, he's certainly going to be better than what we've got there at the minute with the likes of Joe Linton. He'd certainly offer us something, and he wouldn't want to see Newcastle relegated. So, yeah, I'd have him back. I think Darlow needs dropping. Yep. Kendo says, reckon Shelby should have been marking, hence Lewis was caught short between 2 for the goal. Maybe so, but, where you look at Daniel James, where he was positioned when he received the ball, that's Jamal Lewis's man. He got sucked in ball watching again, and that's been the problem with him for so long this season. He is not the player that he was at Norwich. And that all boils down to Steve Bruce. Archie, good evening. I know Mike Ashley is an idiot, but surely he isn't that clueless to see that Bruce is pulling us to the relegation zone. You're right, Archie, and this is what I'm talking about. How can he sit there and watch? He's this whole takeover. He's not going to get the same money. Even if PIF do come in for us in the Championship, he's not going to get anywhere near the money he wants for the club. I mean, he's not a stupid man. That is one thing Mike Ashley isn't. He wouldn't be where he is in life if he was a stupid man. But the fact is, he's been very stupid here in trying to play Russian roulette. And he should have learned his lesson with what happened with McLaren. But he's not learning any lessons. Ryan says West Brom will decide our fate. Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking forward to playing West Brom away, if I'm honest. I've hashtagged that as the Dinosaur Derby because that could be one of the worst games to watch ever. Kendo says we're literally a hair away from relegation. Thomas, at least I'm looking forward to the Four Horsemen and the tune. Yeah, don't forget, Four Horsemen on again tomorrow night. Becoming more and more popular, that show. 8:30 tomorrow night on this channel with me, Barry, John, and Peter. So it should be a very fiery one tomorrow night, given what we've just watched. Brian, good evening, mate. Brucey giggling and laughing with his buddies is shocking. Yep. Apparently it's all over Twitter now, and so it should be. Ian, good evening. If we give Bruce 2 games, it would be 2 matches too late. He needs to go. Laughing with his mates. Effing disgusting. You can't put it any better than that, really, can you? I mean, it is disgusting. I mean, how can he laugh and joke on with his mates at the end? He's got to think, where's my club? What am I? Well, where's my club? They've just beaten Newcastle 3-1 is where your club is, Steve, because we all know you're a Red. Don't come out with this bullshit about being a Newcastle United fan, because I bet secretly he's quite loving the fact that Man United won tonight. The difference between McLaren and Bruce is that a world-class manager came in for McLaren. I don't think many people will want this job. No, there won't be top-class names wanting this job while Mike Ashley is still there. That's a given. We know that. But surely we can get somebody like Eddie Howe or even Nigel Pearson, because I tell you something now, Nigel Pearson would put a rocket up these players' arses. They wouldn't dare not give everything for him. He demands 110% from every single player he puts on the pitch. Ken says, Al Lewis and Ethan, everybody's got their opinion, Ken. That's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to slate people for having an opinion. I'll argue my side and I'll argue my point, but, people are always going to have opinions, whether you agree with them or not. I don't particularly agree with them, Ken, at all, but everybody to their own. Jake says, can't afford to wait 2 or 3 games now. You've just seen how much the table's changed in a week, and not for the better. Need to be decisive, not complacent. The fact of the matter is, 2 weeks ago, we were 11 points ahead of Fulham. 11 points ahead of them. And now, look where we are in 2 weeks. 2 weeks' time, we could be where Fulham are and drifting away down the points ladder, and looking up at Fulham thinking, Christ, where are we going to get the points from? Leighton says, I'm absolutely sick of people saying good performance because we need bloody points. Yep, without a doubt. It's points now. Points win prizes this season. And I know that's a cliche, but my God, we need points more than ever now, guys. More than ever. I'm not bothered if we won 1-0 with a stupid sloppy goal and get 3 points. That's all we need right now. That's all that I give a damn about. Performances now are out the window for me. We need points, but we're not getting them. Pedro Neto, world-class mate, and Adam Traore is a great player. Can you imagine what they're going to do to our fullbacks next week? Neto on one side, Traore on the other. There's no way we can keep up with Traore. I don't think Traore's crossing or finishing ability or final ball is anywhere near as good as Pedro Neto, but they'll have a field day. NUFC 92, all right, Paul, didn't watch the game. We were never getting anything out of that game. Can see what's going to happen. Drop into the bottom 3. Mike sacks him with 7 or 8 games to go, and it's too late. Yeah, well, that's what we've said. Excuse me. It's what we've said. We know what's going to happen. And again, he hasn't learned his lesson from what happened with McLaren. It's quite clear. Kenneth says we are crap. Let's be honest. Let's put it into perspective. Man United are hopeless compared to Man City. So it just shows how far we have fallen. Yeah, and to be honest, we should have got something from the game tonight. We've said it. I've said it already. It's very, very disappointing that we didn't come away with anything from the game, because we deserved, after that first half performance, we should have come out with the same attitude, the same intensity, and gone at Man United. Because I tell you something, Miggy showed in the first half, when he just disappeared past Maguire, or Lindelof it was, sorry, how much they could be good at. And we didn't do it in the second half. We should have had players on that pitch, using the pace, just going through the middle, taking these players on, because they couldn't keep up with Miggy. So they couldn't keep up with St. Maximin either. You've got to utilise the pace in the team against their weak points. And they've been weak points for Manchester United all season. And even the Man United fans have said that. But no, Steve Bruce doesn't want to utilise the opportunities, because I genuinely don't think he wanted to win that game tonight. He would have been happy with a draw. But to say our manager doesn't want to win a game, I mean, how bad have we actually fallen here? Emma, good evening. Bruce boils my piss mind. Yeah, many times for me, Emma. Jay says, laughing at the end of the game. What Toon fans were laughing at the end? He's no Toon fan. Exactly. And I just think laughing at the end of the game has just basically proved a massive point tonight, hasn't it? It's just proved what this man thinks of this club, which is very, very little. Chipper says, Steve Bruce bottled a good result there tonight. Of course he did. I just want somebody a journalist just to be brave enough to ask him what he said in the dressing room at half-time. Just ask him. Because all the Newcastle fans want to know how that team was so pathetic in the second half to what we did in the first. Somebody ask him, or have the balls to ask him. Because I tell you what, if I was there, I'd be banned now from going into Steve Bruce's press conferences, because I would ask him the difficult questions. I'd put the man on the spot. But these soft-shite journalists, some of them, just don't. They just ask him, oh, how do you think the game went? Well, you know, there was positives. Ask the blobfish some serious questions and put him on the spot. Kendo says goal difference tells us we're in the relegation zone. If it comes to goal difference, we're screwed, and that's the same for Newcastle. Most seasons, we have terrible goal difference. Jason Darlow, first goal near post, second goal near post, third goal, penalty, dives towards Fernandez instead of left or right. Poor from Darlow, who's a good penalty saver. Yeah, I'm not going to throw all the blame on Darlow tonight, because yeah, he should have maybe done better with the first goal. The second goal, you know, Daniel James did what he was supposed to do. You know, you get the ball in that position, you fire it low and you fire it hard. And, you know, he did that. And it's very difficult for a goalkeeper. Yeah, you could have said he could have come out quicker, maybe spread himself, made himself look big. But Daniel James did what he had to do. To be honest, the defending leading up to that was abysmal. And how he gets to be standing in that position on his own with no Newcastle players around him is absolutely mind-boggling. It really is. Scott says, going down yet again. Can't see us winning any other game. Steve Bruce is clueless. Panic button will be pushed. And that's the problem. If we go into the bottom three, this is what I'm saying. If we go into the bottom three, the panic button is pushed and players are so panicky on the pitch when they get the ball. They think it's a hot potato. They don't concentrate properly because they're thinking, right, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And time is running out and they start making more mistakes than what they've made in the season. And that it happens to every team that gets sucked into the relegation zone. Trill says NUC should have a warning, may cause depression. God, all righty, that's true. Nigel Pearson in for me. Well said, Ryan. I'd certainly go for Pearson. Michael says, looking forward to the match review scoring video. I tell you what, you know, some guys out there didn't do too badly. Miggy ran his heart out. ASM played well tonight. You know, looking like the old self, getting the ball, cutting in, having shots. You know, he did cause Man United a lot of problems in that first half. But second half, we sat back so much that our forward players just couldn't get into the game anymore, because that is how we've been performing all season, sitting back, taking it up the arse and letting Man United come at us. That's what happened in the second half. Back to Bruce ball. Aaron, good evening to you. Pearson looking unlikely. He's been heavily linked with Bristol City. He'll do well there. Jake said Joe Linton might have had a rare game where he wasn't the most useless one on the pitch, but Wilson would have got a goal or two this game. You need goal scorers, not passengers. Well said, Jake. Geordie Talk Stephen says Newcastle can't seem to pull a full 90 minutes into any games they've played so far. I agree. You know, the 90 minutes for me is a massive thing. We can't get into these games. You know, whether we start well and we drift off in the first half, or we have a good first half, or we have a crap first half and a good second half. There's no full games being played by Newcastle United. We don't play full 90 minutes. So that has to come down to the manager. The manager must take responsibility for this because he's not getting 90 minutes out of his players. Ethan says, in my opinion, with getting another manager is that you will only be able to get him in get an intern in. No manager like Eddie Howe will want to come in when he may be sacked 6 months later, so the takeover go through. Yes, the takeover rumours will cause problems getting the manager in. But if we make deals with these managers before they come in and say, look, the takeover may go through in 6 months or whatever it may be, then fine. You know, but you may this is you. I want you at the club. I believe you can get us out of the situation we're in, and that's only going to put you in good stead for when or if the takeover happens. You've got to look at it that way. James Darlow will be out next week. I really do hope Dubravka's back, not just because it's Dubravka, but because of how vocal he is. Dubravka is so more vocal than Darlow is. You see that on the pitch whenever there's corners or anything. Dubravka is screaming at these defenders. Darlow isn't. Excuse me. And I think that could be a big problem. David said we had a good performance in first half. Second, we collapsed. Ian said Dubravka is our best keeper, but he's gone. But he's just as prone dropping clangers. He ain't changing anything. I disagree with that. I know Dubravka's made some mistakes in his time, but nah. But again, it's your opinion. You're perfectly welcome to it, Ian. Snoop Hoggy said we should have beat Wolves, mate. They're not the side they used to be for some reason. We had 4 good chances in the air against them, and we are crap in the air. I think you could get something there. We always can think that we can get something, mate, but the problem is this is Newcastle United, and we've gone to some places that we thought we could get something out of this season, hence Sheffield United, and we've put on an absolute lackluster performance. We've been crap from the word go, and, I fear that that's going to happen to us again. Paul says Lascelles is shit as well. I think we'd better play without him. Miggy was man of the match for me tonight. I think if Wilson was fit, it'd been a different game. Yeah, I mean, we know we're going to miss Callum Wilson because we didn't get somebody in the January window to cover his arse, where if he got injured. And that's where we fall. That's where we fall all the time. We just don't get the decent players in. Where was Graham Jones tonight? I seen him once talking to Steve Bruce. Apart from that, I don't know. Say the Sharks says some say we went down to the Championship last time just to lift the trophy, but this time, well, we are done for. Yeah, we ain't coming back. That's the thing. We haven't got the players to get us back in the Premier League. The Championship is a hard graft, a hard season, and very, very physical. And some of those players on that pitch tonight just won't be up for it. And that's my worry. If we go down, we're not coming back like last time. We haven't got the manager to do that for a start. Because if we go down, they might look at it and say, well, Steve Bruce has been in the, Championship a lot. He knows the league. He's the perfect man for us. And we're just going to be stuck with a bloke. David says we're going down. Jake says, we Leeds fans have the luxury of saying, well, we lost, but it was a good performance. When you're 17th with 3 points above 18th, you cannot afford that luxury. It's not too late, but urgency is needed. There you go. Obviously, Jake's a Leeds fan and also, but he does follow the show. And, Leeds fans have been through the mire themselves. They know the situation. They know what happens if you go down and you're under bad ownership or bad management, whatever it may be. You don't come back for quite a long time. And we as Newcastle United fans have got to be worried about that. There is no doubt about it. David says, I've just listened to Spoons and his press conference, and he says that we were a threat. We were a threat in the second half, and he says we've got some winnable games coming up. Isn't that just pathetic, though? Saying that we were a threat in the second half. Where on earth were we a threat in the second half? Somebody tell me. Sitting back, taking up the backside for most of the second half is not a threat. The only threat is to the players' backsides when we take it up there. Honestly, the man is just deranged. He is. He's deranged. Cruel to be kind says, Mike Ashley is stupid. Football-wise, we are going down for a third time. The confidence is rock bottom amongst the fan base. Can you imagine what it's like in the dressing room when they're having to listen to Steve Bruce waffle on and him speaking to the press like that? Saying rubbish. The players will know that second half wasn't good enough. And if they don't realise that, they shouldn't be in a black and white strip. Because questions need to be asked why we were so poor in that second half. Trolls 4 Horsemen, yeah, 8:30 tomorrow night. Hope you're there. Savash says who won? Well, Man United, to be honest, quite clearly. Pearson going to Bristol City. Yeah, it seems to be the way. David said, I've just listened to Steve Bruce. Yep, we've had that one. As Benno says, thought we should have went 5 at the back today, mate. Need to scrap for a point against bigger teams if we had to stay up. I agree. I said that in my review. I couldn't believe that I actually said it, but I thought that, a point would be better than nothing at Old Trafford. And if we can scrap and fight for a point, then I would be happy with that because, like we've already said on this show, points and performances aren't really needed now. It's points. And if we went down there tonight with 5 at the back and we scrapped, and maybe we pinched a goal, and we scrapped, we could have got more than we got tonight. But the worry for me is just the total collapse in the second half. That's what worries me. And the fact that I think Stephen said before, we're falling apart. There's never a full 90 minutes, and it's got to be a worry. Close the door now. So Mike Ashley has given. No, he hasn't. PD Prowler, good evening, mate. Looking forward to tomorrow night. I'm sure you've got something to say. Crafton Lewis Dreadful again. Also, Darley beating near post. Dubravka has to come back in goal. Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, mate. But do join us. Peter will be on the Four Horsemen tomorrow night. Leighton says Mike Ashley needs to pay Bruce the money to get him the hell out. Yeah, we've already said that a million times. And, come on. It's like back pocket change for Mike Ashley. The money this man has, just to get Bruce out is going to cost him nothing. Come on. You're a businessman. You know better than this. Bolam says we need a right back. Emil Kraft is shite. We can't get one in now. That's the problem. We didn't handle the transfer window very well at all. We let Yedlin go when it should have been Kraft that went. I know Yedlin's not everybody's cup of tea, but he's certainly damn well better than Kraft. And we didn't get any cover in. But this is forward thinking that the manager just doesn't have. Calvin said, I'd love to punch Steve Bruce's face, sick of him making me and all us fans depressed every time we watch them play. Yeah, and certainly laughing after the game wouldn't have helped at all. Not sure what that is. Paul Jackson says, Ashley will keep Bruce till the end of the season, then sack him. We fall into the championship with a new manager, Rafa. Rafa gets us back, then Ashley sacks him. Paul, I don't know what's going to happen, mate, but you clearly have a thought on that. I don't think it's going to work out like that, quite frankly. Jack says, you effing legend. Have my kids. I'm not sure who he's talking about there. Sean says, Fulham have some tough fixtures coming up. Yes, they do, but so do we. This is what I'm trying to get at. People are looking at these Brighton games and Sheffield United games and West Brom thinking, we've got winnable games. What is giving you that confidence that we've got winning games? We've been so bad all season. When we play these teams, we are terrible. We were terrible against Brighton. We were terrible against Sheffield United. And we scraped a win against West Brom. So we can't go into these games thinking, don't worry, these are winnable games, because they're bloody not. Let's get our thinking heads on here. Let's get our sensible heads on. We are in a relegation battle here that I believe we are going to very, very, very massively struggle to get out of. Thomas said, I saw Bruce smiling after the game. Yep, it's just a disgrace. Kenneth, never thought I would ever say this. He's the worst manager ever at Newcastle, and what makes it worse is he's a Geordie. Sickening. Yeah, he's a Geordie, but is he really a Geordie? That's the thing. I can't stand the bloke myself. Really, all the comments he's made about the fans as well this season have pissed me right off. Pissed me off beyond belief. I've got no respect for the man at all now. Charles says, if we had a good owner, he would have sacked Bruce for smiling like that after a terrible result. If we had a good owner, Charles, he would have been gone a long time ago. And this is what I miss about the fans not being in the ground, because if the fans were in the ground, the atmosphere at St. James's Park would have got him out ages ago. Chipper says, if Bruce on Saturday says he's playing his strongest 11 with Dubravka on the bench and Joe Linton and Kraft starting, he's lying to us. He's lied to us all season, Chippers, to be honest, hasn't he? Let's be honest now. Every time he's told us something, this ASM and Fraser in the same team, he's bullshitted us about that as well. He just constantly talks shite, and the fans worked him out months ago, or even, when he first came in. All the crap that he was talking. We knew that wasn't going to happen. Jay says he doesn't take questions from papers. Blobfish. Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, Blobfish, go and search on Google for Blobfish, and you'll see a perfect impersonation of Steve Bruce. Jake says Bruce isn't a Geordie, he's a mank. Exactly. Alan Shearer or Steve Bruce. Alan Shearer every single day of the week. Yeah, there you go. There's no doubt about it. Steve Bruce wouldn't get in front of Anton Deck for me. Never mind bloody Alan Shearer. Would you take West Brom's old manager, forgot his name, Slaven Bilic? Yes, I would. I think he is a positive thinking manager. He's an attack thinking manager. I think he got treated like absolute dirt at West Brom. Didn't deserve to lose his job. And as far as I'm concerned, the West Brom board reap what they sow. They are not going to survive now. I believe they would have had a chance with Bilic because he's a good manager. And, he was given no money in the summer to get any players in. He's basically playing with the championship side. Yet January comes along and they give Allardyce, he gets 5 or 6 players in. He got a bad treatment at West Brom. He really did. Kendo says, JL did a great through ball in first half, but unlike Wilson, didn't sprint forward and just watch the player standing still. That's what we do all the time. We stand still. We don't think about the game. We just let it pass us by. Our midfield tonight, to be honest, passed it by. But then again, they did that against Chelsea as well. But I think Shelvey causes the majority of the problem because they don't know where Shelvey's going to be because he's just so damn lazy. Ethan says, people saying Shearer, that's ludicrous. I'd rather have a manager than Shearer. He took us down once. Mike Ashley wouldn't bring Shearer back anyways. They don't get on. Ethan, Howie, think about it, man. Steve Bruce or Alan Shearer as manager. Who would you rather have? You're telling me you'd rather have Steve Bruce? Come on. Alan Shearer wasn't given enough time to get us out of the relegation zone, just like Rafa. Don't forget that. Shearer wasn't given many games, and neither was Rafa. And Mike Ashley is heading towards making the same mistake again. What point place right now? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I think the way we're looking this season, I think 17th is going to be our aim now. It has to be, just to avoid relegation. Thanks, Slaven Bilic. Aaron says, Fulham catching up quickly. Parker's got the team galvanised and working. Newcastle under Bruce in the Championship would do well, in my opinion. That squad would not be bad in that league. Maybe not, but we wouldn't keep a lot of that squad. There's a lot of players out of contract. There's about 12 players out of contract in the summer, and they're not going to stick around in the Championship. So, we'd have the squad completely broken up. So that's an immediate problem. Aaron again says Newcastle have a lot of money to work with, parachute payments, and would have an advantage financially, but that would depend on Ashley spending the money and backing the manager. Exactly, which he doesn't. And he's certainly not going to do now he's got the club up for sale. Jake says Bruce was crap in the Championship. He won't be able to cut it any more than in the Premier League. It's gotten very competitive down there. Exactly, it's a very, very, very tough league. Very tough to get out of now. And Steve Bruce would certainly not be the man to get us out of there. We've got an owner who doesn't want to be at the club, who wants to sell. He's not going to spend much money at all on getting players in. And that has to be a worry for the Newcastle fans. Trulson, I'm so pissed. Bruce is a waste of manager space. He needs to start playing watch. Yeah. P. Diddy says, should we sign Juan Kerr from QPR? It's pointless saying we're going to sign anybody, guys, to be honest, because we don't know what league we're going to be in. We can't target players, can we, at this moment in time? I see we were targeted with a AC Milan player today. He's not going to come to the Championship. So, it's pointless targeting and having discussions with players because they're going to want to know what division they're going to be playing in. Taylor says, Ashley and Bruce are that clueless. They will agree to change our black and white stripes to pink and yellow. Do you know, I'm surprised he hasn't even done that already. Change the strips to Sports Direct colours. Can you imagine the uproar? Sean says, I see a distinct possibility of Bruce being our manager in the Championship. Yep, I've said that as well. There is a distinct possibility. Aaron says, Jake, but look at his record at Hull and did well at Sheffield Wednesday. He is a pair of safe hands in the Championship. I wouldn't trust Steve Bruce at all. I don't trust the guy now. His management skills are pathetic. Whether he's good in the Championship or not, I just think he's past it now. The man is past it. He's had his time, and it's time to retire, as far as I'm concerned, because I don't think any other team would actually take Steve Bruce on now. Save Sharks, can we crowdfund the release? Yeah, that's an idea. I've heard that before. People wanting to crowdfund a release, raise the release money for Steve Bruce. David says, I don't get where he's coming from when he sees the six team looking over their shoulder. He's talking crap, David. We know he is. He's trying to make excuses for his own downfalls. And this has been the problem with Steve Bruce all season. He tries to make comments that make him look less bad because there's other teams around us. When the bottom line is, we shouldn't be in this position in the first place. And it's all down to him. Jason says, Netty and Traore will destroy Kraft and will yet again start next game. Exactly. We've got that to worry about. Jay says, nobody talks, still the Cells keeper, Clark Lewis, shoving nothing. There isn't. There's absolutely no communication in that Newcastle United side from anyone. And Jamal Lascelles is supposed to be captain, but when do you ever see him barking out orders or bollocking a player or just going up and slapping a player's, putting his arm around the shoulder and saying, come on, we're better than this. That's what he should have done when we went 2-1 down tonight, because we were the better side up until that point, and then we threw it away. But there's no communication at all. As Benno says, only logical explanation about keeping Bruce on for Ashley is that a takeover is in the process. Doubt he'd want to pay Bruce's contract off if he won't be the owner of the club next season. That's all we can hope for, to be honest. That's all we have as Newcastle fans. The only positive that we can possibly say from this club is that maybe a takeover might happen. And that is really down. Look how far we have fallen from what we, it's heartbreaking, man. AFY says, I personally am trying to be more positive as we are now more exciting and playing more attacking football. Yeah, we are, but we're also falling apart. That's got to be more in question than playing well, great, fantastic. But what has to be noted is, why are we falling apart in games? There's no excuse for it. Kendo, remember how difficult the championship was under Rafa? It was no cakewalk, and most of our best players would leave and we'd be stuck with Bruce. Yeah, exactly, Kendo. The championship, this time around, if we went down, would be a million times more difficult to get out of than what the championship was last time under Rafa. And remember, under Rafa, we didn't walk the league. We didn't walk that championship. We won it on the last game of the season. Yeah, we got promoted in the top 2, but it was a battle all season. Because teams would come to Newcastle and it would be their cup final. We know a lot of teams in that championship, the smaller teams, they treat Newcastle like a massive big cup final, and they get so up for these games that it would be so difficult for Newcastle United. And that's why I don't think we got the players that could do it this time around. Jake says, Hull was a long time ago and he was only at Wednesday 5 minutes. He was hounded out of Villa because he was taking them backwards. Exactly. David said he was smiling on the press conference. Dear God. On a brighter note, 1,000 subscribers. Yes, Peter has finally hit 1,000 subscribers, which is fantastic news for him, and a massive well done. He is such a nice lad. He is a top bloke. I'm proud to call him one of my good mates now, and I'm so proud of him for what he's done on his channel, getting up to 1,000 subscribers. Well done, mate. If you haven't checked him out already, his channel is just simply called PD Proudlock. Go and he does reviews, news, blogs, vlogs, whatever it may be. Go and check him out. Fantastic lad. And he's one of the 4 horsemen. He's part of the Toon Review setup. So I couldn't be more proud of him. Couldn't have happened to a nicer bloke. Congratulations, Peter. Jason says, sickening to see tough games coming up are the likes of Brighton, West Brom, Villa and Burnley. Jesus Christ. Yeah. We once upon a time look at those games and think, we've got a good set of games coming up now, haven't we? Where we were actually confident. Layla says, look at the goal difference. It's terrible. Leighton says, is Steve Bruce that mental not to buy a backup striker during the transfer window? He's made a lot of mistakes in the transfer window, not getting full back cover. Full backs and a striker were one of the main positions that he needed to go for me in that transfer window, and he didn't do it. He let the club down badly there. But again, that comes from the ownership as well. Where was Charlie in all of this transfer window goings on? Absolutely nowhere to be seen. Archie says, Steve Bruce could eat more pies in an hour than win games in his entire management life. I'm not going to argue with that. Aaron says, that's very true, but his pragmatism would be effective. Just look at the record for defensive managers. I'm sorry, Aaron, but he's not pragmatic anymore. This guy's gone so far down in my estimation, it's unbelievable. I don't have any faith in this manager whatsoever. Absolutely none. But, that's just the way we have to look at it. Again, guys, I'm going to put some comments on the screen as well because we've got a massive viewing tonight, record viewing figures for me, that's a certainty. So thank you very much. The comments are flying in, so I'm putting them all on the screen. I will read some out, but I will put all of them on the screen so people will get to see them anyway. I want defensive managers. Yeah, that's Jake. You're right with what you say. They don't get anywhere now. Kendo says, smash that like button, lads. 130 watching. There's actually 160 watching now, which is incredible, and only 40 likes. Come on, guys, hit that like button for me. And if you're not already subscribed, please do hit the subscription button. I'm working hard to bring you decent content here, and I thank you so much for all the subscriptions. It's been amazing. William says, how sad a club like us is going this way. It's devastating, mate, not just sad. I'm absolutely gutted with how this club has turned out. Absolutely gutted. I didn't expect to see my club like this when I was growing up as a kid. I saw the crap teams in the late 80s and then the euphoria of the 90s, and you just think you can only go from what we saw in the 90s could only go better, and it just hasn't worked out like that, unfortunately. Jimmy, good evening. Newcastle deserved to win today. Was a better team for 70 minutes. Bruce getting his tactics right, but struggling to score goals without Wilson. I'm not so sure it was for 70 minutes, Jimmy, but again, that's your opinion, mate, and you're welcome to it. I think, we started the second half brightly for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then Man United just started to camp out again. We let them come onto us for some reason that beggars belief. I don't know why we did that. We were the better side, yet we let Man United then turn the game around and come at us. It's incredible. Emma says, this is a great channel. Love watching it. I hope you've got subscribed, Emma, but thank you very much for the comment. Lots of live streams on here as well as recorded player ratings and reviews and things like that. So do get subscribed if you haven't already. But thank you very much, Emma. As Benno says, I'd like to see Matty or Sean get a game over Shelby at the moment. Need someone who's going to put a shift in as the going gets tough. That's what we need. Exactly. Players who are going to get stuck in and work their asses off for this football club. Because there's players in that start 11, a.k.a. Shelby, etc., who are just happy to see the game pass us by and don't give a toss if we go down. I'm sorry that might be a bit harsh on them, but there is players in that setup that don't give a toss. Some players are out of contract that don't give a toss. Some players just letting the game pass them by, coming to the end of their careers. They're not bothered where this club ends up, and it's such a bloody shame. Would rather have Steve Bruce than Shearer all day long. Bruce has been in the game for decades. He has experience. Shearer is the last on my list. I'd like someone like Pearson, but keep Bruce for 2 games. Ethan, please. We've had this discussion on John's channel during the watch-along. I don't know what you've been smoking. I really don't. But, we can't afford to keep Bruce any longer. He's just not good enough. Chippers, I wouldn't trust Steve Bruce handling my boxer shorts, never mind this club. I wouldn't trust him holding me dog, never mind anything else. If Bruce is our manager, if we go down, I'm not going to watch a game, just results. That's what my worry is. So many Newcastle United fans turning away from the club because of the manager. The fact is, we know Mike Ashley wants to sell the club. We can't, as fans, do anything else about that now. He's made it public that he wants to sell the club. We can't then argue with that. We can't do any more. Hopefully this takeover with PIF goes through. We've got all the court case happening. It may or may not. It may get settled out of court. But we just have to keep our fingers crossed. We really do. We can't do anything about it. We just have to pray. Kenneth says, Parker is smelling blood now. Newcastle are wounded. Bobby Robson will be spinning in his grave with disappointment. He'll have been doing that for a number of years under Mike Ashley. I have no doubt about it. Bless his soul. Really feel sorry for, the guys that came in early doors in the 90s and things like that, the likes of Keegan and the players, what they did for that club, what they did for our club, moving us forward, getting us towards a championship. Yeah, we missed out, but by God, it was a hell of a ride. These players in the 90s, they had so much passion for the club. The players under Bobby Robson made sure they had passion for the club because he did. Keegan and Robson were, they had so much passion for Newcastle United and they drilled that into the players. But since then, the managers that have come in with no affiliation to Newcastle United, they don't get it, they don't get the city, they don't get the fans, and it ends up being too big for them because they want to argue with the fans, they want to push the fans away, and that's not how we work as a club. That's not how we work as a fan base. We deserve a club that is with us, side by side, standing together, not like this, not with the fans on one side, the fans bickering on social media, and then the club just rotting away in a corner somewhere. And Mike Ashley has let that happen. Jimmy says Newcastle were better than United for 70. Again, your opinion, Jimmy, and you're quite welcome to it. I don't think we were 70 minutes better than them, maybe 55. But hey, we're arguing about 15 minutes here. It doesn't really matter, does it? The bottom line is we fell apart. Chip says Ann Summers have better pairs of full backs on their models than this club does. I can't disagree with you, although I haven't ever been into that shop. I just might know. But Chippers, I'm sure you've camped out there a few times. Paul Jones, is your meds very heavy? Yeah. Jake says Pulik, sack, Karanka, relegation fodder. Houghton isn't quite as negative as them, but still isn't doing well. Warnock is a very good motivator and organizer. He's very good, but he's an exception. Yeah, and Warnock's coming to the end of his career now. I think these type of managers now are dying off. Well, that's a terrible thing to say. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it like that. You know what I mean? In football terms, dying off. There's new younger managers coming in with other ideas, etc., and taking their clubs forward. Ethan says, wrong to criticise Lascelles as captain. People only see what the Sky cameras show. People don't see what happens behind the scenes and off the camera. I wouldn't question him as captain. It doesn't matter, Ethan. The fact is when they scored goals, Man United scored goal. Chelsea scored the other night. Lascelles' head was down walking back to the touchline. As soon as they score a goal, Lascelles should be geeing the players up, saying, come on, we're still in this. Not with his head down, trundling back to the halfway line. That is not what a captain does. He may well bollock them behind closed doors. That's irrelevant. It's on the pitch. It's at the time he needs to get the players going. That's what a captain does. Jimmy says, Almiron, St. Maximin, Wilson will all leave if Newcastle get relegated. Undoubtedly. They'll not play in the Championship. Dixon Side has been transferred by Schalke. Thoughts? I'm not going to speak on any players, to be honest, because, again, it depends what division where you're going to be in as to where any player comes in. Rafa had him as captain for a reason. Yes, he did. And he didn't perform too badly under Rafa. But what I'm saying is now, he doesn't do the job. Layla, we are in danger. Without a shadow of a doubt, we are. Jake says, Steve Cooper isn't in the same old. Swansea plays some very slick stuff. Players like Joe Linton and Shelby won't be able to keep up. To be honest, I mean, come on, we're talking about the Championship here. Joe Linton would be knocked on his arse a million times over in the Championship. Absolutely no doubt about it. He couldn't handle it. Snow's teammates are one of the best defensive records. PD Proud, cheers so much. Really looking forward to tomorrow night. Me too, mate. Congratulations again. Spot on. Thomas says, congratulations on 1K PD. Aaron says, I meant his pragmatic approach. Yeah, but it's your opinion, Aaron, and again, you're welcome to it, mate. I just think Bruce is completely the wrong man to take this club anywhere. As Benno said, we had Yedlin and let him go. Ridiculous management. Couldn't have said it better myself. On a positive note, Bruce's team won tonight. Yeah, they did. Michael says, don't understand how we don't have anyone in the under-23s or under-18s. You could play when first team aren't performing, even if it's sub-appearances, but Bruce is probably to blame for that. Do you know what it is, though, Michael? There's some very, very good players in the under-23s who I believe are ready. And if you watch Sharky on Toonami TV, he goes to a lot of the games. PD Proudlock goes to a lot of the under-23 games. I'm going to start going back to them once the COVID crap is over. There is some good players there, but Steve Bruce will not play the kids. He just won't. If Bruce has to be sacked, the time is now. Bruce is a good manager. The club is useless. Okay. Obviously a Sunderland fan there. There's a few of them kicking about lately, isn't there? Truls, Bruce is crap, without a doubt. The next manager has to get some time to set things up his way. The next manager, I think, if Steve Bruce is sacked, the next manager is going to have to come in and save us from relegation. That is going to have to be his first and only priority, is saving us from relegation. Whatever happens in the summer, takeover-wise or whatever, his main goal is going to be keeping Newcastle United in the Premier League. Thanks for that. Simon says, congrats on 1K. Hopefully have a celebratory pint in the leaders next year, whether that's Premier or Championship remains to be seen. As Benno, if we go down, I'd like to see Houghton brought back in, but he deserves better than Mike Ashley. The managers that have already worked under Ashley, guys, are not going to come back and work under him again, because they know what that man is like. He makes promises, and then as soon as they're in the job, those promises just dissolve away to shit. So, that's just the way it is. Good show, fun and depressing, but like it. Cheers, Jules. Gary Miles, loving your shows. Keep it up. Hope you subscribe, Gary. Thanks for your comment, matey. Where the hell was Matty Longstaff? Not even on the bench yet. We've had this. I just don't understand what's going on with the Longstaffs. I never will. Something's clearly gone on. And I guess, we are where we are with that. United fan here. Thought you were with a better side. Shows us up at times. Newcastle deserve a more proactive manager in my eyes. Thank you very much. Good of you to say that, being a Man United fan. But like I say, I think you controlled most of the second half. We fell apart. From our first half performance, you could say, yes, we deserved something out of the game. But when we've got a team that falls apart like that, do we have the fight that's needed to stay in the division? I'm not so sure. Pearson is going to Bristol. Yeah, just depress me even more. It's fine. Jason says, Steve Bruce press conference on fans. Of course, they're anxious, but I'm quietly confident if we perform like that we did in the first hour, we'll be fine. He said that all season, we'll be fine, so it means nothing to me. I'm a Man United fan, mate, and you're right, we're shit, but you can't give 2 goals and a penalty to anyone in the Premier and get away with it. You're right, and the penalty was a terrible tackle by Willock. It was very good skill by Rashford, I think, in the end of the day. Let's not take it away from Rashford. He done him completely, didn't he? But you're right. We gifted them 2 goals, but Man United are, not the team that they have been, and that's what I like about some of the Man United fans. They will be honest and they will say, they're not good this season. They're a very, very difficult side away from home to play. They're much better away than they are at Old Trafford this year, which is bizarre because Old Trafford used to be such a fortress for them. But hey ho, they I guess it's a sign of a good side when you play badly and you actually still win the game. So, credit to Man United. We can't take anything away from them. They did what they had to do and win the game. Jay says, well done, PD. Jason says, think Bruce needs a straight jacket and put back in the nut house. Yeah, he's every single press conference we can say that about him. It's and Mike Oxlong scored 15 goals in the Scottish Premier this season. What do you think? You know, I've watched a lot of the Premier League in Scotland, and I think there is some very, very good players there. But for some reason, the English clubs just very, very wary about bringing them down to England for some reason. Eric, good evening. I've watched the club for 30 years, and this isn't the first time I felt like packing it in, and it won't be the last. We will get our biggest victory once he is gone. It's coming eventually. I think, you know, we have to stay positive, don't we? We have to believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel. We have to keep believing that. You know, that somewhere along this line, this very dark tunnel that we're in at the minute, we are going to see a flash of light and eventually come out the other end with a new owner, a positive manager, the club moving forward in a positive way. Everybody around the club showing ambition and what it could actually be like for Newcastle United. Not this dross that we're in at the minute. We do have to keep believing, Eric. You're right. Geordie, evening, Paul. Steve Bruce has to go. He's an absolute fool that has taken us down. Yeah, it's sad but true. Not you, Paul, by the way. Yeah, kind of. I knew that, Jules. Don't worry. Shoeless Shataya, product of the famous Wallsend Bond Club, coming on for his debut against us, sums up everything you need to know about the last 14 years under Ashley. Yeah, credit to the kid, you know, making his Man United debut. Oh, Paul, you're missing the puns. Wanker, Dixon Sider, Wayne King. Yeah, okay. I'm not, Jason, it's very hard to focus on jokes at the minute. You know what I'm like. You know, I'll be far more open on the Four Horsemen tomorrow night when I've had a chance to calm down. My match reactions are just heart on sleeve stuff, mate. So I'm struggling to pick the puns up. Wanker, Dixon, yeah, I get them now. I didn't work them out at first, but thanks. David, congratulations, PD. Yeah, well done. Geordie says Elliot Anderson should get a chance at first team level, but instead Bruce plays the likes of Joe Linton. Elliot Anderson deserves a chance. You know, he came on against Arsenal. He looked really solid. He looked confident. That's what we need. A few kids coming in and showing these players what passion for the black and white shirt is all about. Yes, very funny. Congratulations on 1.05. Thanks, Slayton. Means a lot. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed already, guys, please do. Please hit the like button as well if you're watching the show or you're watching it on a rerun. Lots of live content on here now, as well as some recorded. A lot more live, though, because you interact with the fans much better, don't you? Derek said, who in the right mind would go back to St. James's if we're still under Bruce next season? Me for a start, simply because I miss the whole thing. I miss going to the games. I miss seeing my friends, having a pint before the game or whatever it may be, you know, seeing them after the game and all grouping together, doing our various channels and stuff like that. You know, if COVID's taught me anything, it's how much I miss going to football. David says, Paul, I just love your passion for the club and all is on your channel. It's just for blood passion. It is. It's just passion with me. I don't do anything to get views or subscribers. It's just what you see is what you get with me. Kendo, is Rashford is up for a Golden Globe for that overreaction. He did make the most of it, but to be honest, who wouldn't? You know, as soon as strikers these days feel a touch on the foot, they'll go down and they'll make it as theatrical as possible. It was a penalty. I mean, I said when I watched it back, I thought, oh, he's made the most of that. But you know, at the end of the day, he wanted to win a penalty for his team, and I wouldn't argue if a Newcastle player did that. To be honest, Richard said if it's down to Fulham or Newcastle, if Fulham will pick up more points in the 10. Yeah, the thing is, you know, we've got Fulham on the last game of the season, and it doesn't even bear thinking about, to be honest. Last few comments before we end the show. Once again, thank you guys for joining. I've had fantastic viewing figures again tonight. It means the world to me. So thank you very much for that. We'll rattle through the last few comments. But also, don't forget, tomorrow night, 8:30 on this channel, me, Barry, Peter, and John Sinclair, the Four Horsemen of the Toon, discussing tonight's match, discussing all things Newcastle United, and Steve Bruce. So do join us for that. It's a cracking show. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and don't forget to hit that like button. I'm just going to flash some more on the screen here before we finish. It's mainly the same stuff. It's just, yeah. There's a lot of unhappy Newcastle United fans out there at the minute, and it's so sad that we're in this situation. It really is. I'm so happy Blobfish has caught on. Yeah, it has, Jake. Well and truly caught on. Every time I switch this bloody streaming program on now, I get a picture of a blobfish up on the screen. Ref couldn't wait to give a penalty. Yeah, maybe so, but yeah, it was a penalty. Michael says, well done on the 1K subs. I'm sure you'll get a pint if I ever see you in the Toon on match day. Certainly will. I'm too excited for the Four Horses show. It should be a good one. It's going to be a very passionate one, shall we say. There's going to be a lot of things said about the manager, about the team, and about where we find ourselves at the minute. But we do have the serious talk, obviously, about Newcastle United and what's going on at the minute. But we also like to put smiles on people's faces. We like to have a few jokes. You guys with your live comments always make the show. It's fantastic. So do join us and throw your comments in again, funny or about the club or about who certain players look like. Just daft things like that to put smiles on people's faces. Layla says, what's your thoughts on Kraft? Utterly, utterly pathetic is my thoughts on Emil Kraft, unfortunately. Last few comments before we finish. John Joe Linton. Yeah, we've got something special on the show tomorrow night because we did have a poll about John Sinclair changing his Twitter handle name to John Linton for 24 hours. And I'm going to announce the results of that poll tomorrow night. So we'll see whether he actually takes it on or he doesn't. Blobfishers have complained being associated to Bruce on the basis they have more intelligence. Good one, Kendo. If he ain't sacked in the morning, I'm done with watching the games. I think you and a lot of other people. See you on the Horseman, mate. Looking forward to it. Thanks, buddy. Thanks again for the great stream. Thanks, Aaron, for joining in. Derek, I've expected this all season. Bruce is so negative. Yeah. Paul, great stream. Paul, all the best. You too, mate. Like and subscribe if you're new. Great stream yet again. Thanks, Geordie. Big part of the channel. Thanks a lot, mate. Linton says, what time is the Four Horsemen? It's 8:30 tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. But I'll put a link on Twitter to remind you all to set a reminder for it. And Truls looking forward to it. So that's it, guys. Thank you very, very much for joining in again tonight on the match reaction. Unfortunately, it wasn't the kind of match reaction we wanted to do tonight. I generally thought at halftime that it might be that we would actually be doing like a very positive match reaction tonight, actually getting something from Old Trafford and celebrating, pulling away from the relegation zone. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, and we're now in a situation where we're back to square one and we're looking over our shoulder again at Fulham. But you never know. Things might change against Wolves next week. But keep an eye on the channel for the player ratings, reviews, live streams next week. Holly Blades will be back on Thursday. I'm going to try and get Claire, Man United fan, on Tuesday night. So that should be good as well. So do stay tuned to my Twitter page at The Toon Review or on Facebook, and you'll see when the next live streams and videos are put out. So thank you very much. Like I said, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Please hit the like button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching tonight. Take care, guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the Four Horsemen. Good night. Be strong. Be strong.